It's been almost half a year since we've had an update on Bellum, and if you missed this game entirely, it's a brand new large-scale tactical shooter under development by a team led by Karmacut. Yes, that Karmacut. And if there's anyone that knows tactical shooters, it's definitely him. Now, when Bellum's announcement first dropped last year, the biggest question that still remained was, how is this thing going to play? Would it be a little bit more dynamic, like Arma Reforger's conflict mode, allowing players to just bounce around the map and attack and defend as they please? Or was it going to be a little bit more linear, like Squad, where you have to attack objectives in order? Well, we finally have our answer, and it's neither. It's none of these things. When I first heard about Bellum last year, I made a prediction that this entire game would most likely be like an old mod that Karmacut used to develop when he was still playing Squad. It was called Dynamic Direction, and to be honest, it really looks like this prediction came true.
I am confident, however, that all of you will be satisfied with the dynamic direction we plan to take.
Now, this could all be a coincidence, but I don't think he just accidentally used the words dynamic direction. I would really bet money we'll see something like this announced in the future, but only time will tell. Nailed it. Well, this game mode is no longer just going to be a squad mod, and it's officially going to be Bellum's primary game mode called Occupation. Each map will have a randomized area of operations, and teams will then have to move in to secure it by providing more influence than the other side. Influence is determined through a number of ways, the first being the amount of players within the zone, so obviously the more the better, but you can also gain influence by creating and defending your own player-made objectives. Since the unconventional forces are the native guerrilla forces of the region, they start closer to the AO and they can get there quicker since they have lighter gear. Then, once in the AO, they can build a number of hideouts that are spread all across and will slowly increase influence. Conventional forces will have much more powerful weaponry, but they will move slower, and once in the zone, they will work to establish only one major base called a combat outpost. Not only will you have to defend this COP once it's built, you will also use it as a staging area to push out and knock out those enemy hideouts. This is extremely refreshing from the usual tactical shooter game mode of just attack and defend, and since every game will result in players making different choices for where they want to put their combat outposts or their hideouts, the replayability of Bellum should be massive. But this devlog doesn't just talk about the new game mode, but it also gives us a huge update on how Bellum's dev team is maximizing Unreal Engine 5. UE5 has gotten a lot of flack recently, and that's even come up in the latest Squad UE5 playtest, where players will just see UE5, and since it's not UE4 or Unity or some other proprietary game engine, that the performance is just going to be horrible without even playing it. The reality is Unreal Engine 5 is one of, if not the most accessible game engine for development, and because of that ease of access, we get a lot of crap out on the marketplace. UE5 makes games look incredible, but unless you actually know what you're doing and then also spend the time and money in order to optimize these games, it's never really going to run well. And I think many of us out here have UE5 fatigue, where we see an amazing game, but you can't get more than like 20 FPS. It's exhausting, and there's stuff like that everywhere all over Steam. Now, I want to reiterate here, this isn't a sponsored video. I don't have any stake in if Bellum does well or does poorly. I could care less. I just really like tactical shooters, and what I've found from this devlog is something that I don't really see too often in not only game dev, but especially tactical shooters. Bellum could possibly be doing Unreal Engine 5 development the right way, and that's exciting to see. Instead of taking what Unreal Engine 5 has given them at face value, the devs have gone a step further by focusing not just on the ballistics and weapons physics systems, but seeing how those systems, when implemented, will affect your computer's performance. As a result, they've made their very own custom-built projectile system, which accurately portrays how bullets move in the real world. It's dependent on muzzle velocity, temperature, wind, air density, drag, whether it's supersonic or subsonic, and they even have accurately represented not just bullet penetration, but also ricochets. In this graph here, you can see that games like Tarkov or Arma Reforger may be close to real-world projectiles, but they are tweaked a little bit for gameplay or for other design reasons. But Bellum, on the other hand, it's almost a like-for-like representation of real-world projectile velocity. Also, what the hell is going on with Squad? I think after 1,200 meters, it looks like the velocity actually goes up. I'm not a physics major, but I don't think that's actually possible. But what I absolutely love is this next graph. This is Bellum's custom projectile simulation system, which shows that it is way more optimized than native UE5. If you're having trouble reading this graph, the vertical is milliseconds of frame time, while the horizontal is number of active projectiles that are being simulated. This yellow line here is a 120 FPS budget, and basically that means you don't want only your projectiles maxing out your PC, since your computer would catch fire trying to do everything else the game requires. At 100 active projectiles, Bellum's system is over 2 times more efficient than native UE5, and when you amp that up to 1,000 projectiles, it got better? It's 4 times more efficient. Now, this is the power of Unreal Engine 5, and this is why I think many people just have bad impressions of the engine as a whole. A normal dev team, or perhaps a solo dev, may just try to force through this native projectile system and absolutely fry your PC. But devs who actually know what they're doing and have the budget and time, resources, and care to do it right will put in the extra work in order to use the tools that UE5 gives them to make something better. In saying that, full disclosure, I haven't played this game. I see what you see, and I do get to talk to the devs a little bit more behind the scenes, but I don't actually know if all of this is going to be true. The optimization graphs and data looks good, but is that really going to happen when you're playing on a server with 99 other people? I'm not sure, but what's given me confidence is that this is the second devlog this dev team has put out, and they're not talking about the crazy in-depth medical system. They're not talking about these amazing UE5 graphics. They're showing you relatively boring data points at how projectile optimization is working. That excites me. That shows me that the dev team knows that they have to do the boring stuff right in order to make the fun stuff actually fun. Huge green flag for me. Now, aside from all this optimization stuff, we have also gotten a look at some new weaponry in this latest devlog. And if you've been following Bellum for some time, you may remember they are really trying to focus on team play and crew-served weapons. That means that you actually may need more than one person to fire something like a machine gun. Although you can operate larger machine guns by yourself, like this 240 Bravo, you'll also have the option to have someone act as your assistant gunner in order to help with belt-linked ammunition in order to sustain higher rates of fire. And I love that the devs are giving you the option to do it by yourself or with a buddy, since, let's be real, although it's awesome to have someone like an assistant gunner to help you out, in games that are random with players that you don't know, you're not really going to get that all the time. The devs also stated they're working to implement things like barrel changes and deployable tripods, meaning that the assistant gunner will not just be there linking ammunition, but they'll be able to do a lot more for their MG team as a whole in order to make it more efficient. And that's something I'm really interested to see implemented. Now, unlike other games, which seems to be a theme with Bellum, the devs are doing something different when it comes to grenades. The game will be replicating the actual fragments from fragmentation grenades, randomizing it realistically, and then wounding or killing players depending on how they impact that player's body. This means that grenades will not just have a simple kill radius, and although obviously close ranges may be deadly, it won't be as cut and dry as other games where, let's say, a nade drops within 5 feet and you're instantly killed. These realistic fragmentation physics paired with realistic smoke interaction and even more unique smoke grenades like the RGD-M will make for a really immersive battle space. Demolition in general looks like it's taking shape with an early showcase of C4 being used to knock out a hideout, and the devs have stated that there's going to be plenty other attachments and charges coming soon. This paired with some new art design focused on realistic looking terrain and buildings, as well as weapon attachments and launchers, the game as a whole is looking fantastic. Now, once again, this is all a work in progress, and although it's looking good and even sounding good, what do y'all think? Do you trust UE5? Are you cautiously optimistic that all this talk on optimization will mean that you won't need a NASA computer just to run Bellum? Or maybe you're just excited to play a brand new type of game instead of Arma or Tarkov or Squad. I need something new in the tactical space, and Occupation looks awesome. I really hope they pull it off. But let me know down in the comments below, are you excited about Bellum? Are you just waiting? Do you not even care? let me know, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, peace.